We are honored to have some special guests with us this morning, Mr. Sean and Melissa Brown. Melissa, you can come up. I uh, I really don't know how to introduce her more than she is a servant of God and an angel to some, and she has quite. You can come on up and works with Safe Harbor. She's a spokesperson for Safe Harbor, and maybe see. I'll just be quiet and let you tell. But 8 Days of Hope is an organization that Light in the Valley has started to partner with as far as through labor, through some funding. Matt Koblenz is sort of the spokesperson for us here, going to different projects. We're just starting it. And there's a project that is going on locally here that we will need. They need more funding. They're partnering with Safe Harbor, and Melissa is here to tell us a little bit about it. She told me about it and the passion that was in her and emotion that took over, I trust can be portrayed to you guys this morning because it's quite an ordeal that you guys are doing and an undertaking that you're taking on. So God bless you. And I will tell you, there is a clock up there. If it goes to 11:30, they'll probably start walking out. But you have all the time that you need to make your speech. All right, thank you.
Thank you. As he said, my name is Melissa Brown. I'm the founder and CEO of Safe Harbor. We are actually building a facility for child survivors of sex trafficking. You know, we just sang that song and it said, you bring light to the darkness. That's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to tell you guys about the realities of the world that we live in. Sex trafficking is the second largest growing industry in all of the world. You have drugs, sex trafficking, guns. They say that 3,087 people enter human trafficking for the very first time each day. That's 129 people per hour. And 86% of those are minors. Children. Kids. The United States is the #1 consumer globally out of all of the world for child sex trafficking. It's hard to wrap your head around. The United States, we were like the good guys, the big brother. We've lost our way somehow because we're showing the rest of the world how to sell kids. You know, it's about supply and demand. If it wasn't a demand, it wouldn't even be a business. The level involved in human trafficking is unfathomable. The fight is hard, but I know it's the right fight. You know, when I talk to people, it doesn't matter if you believe in God or you don't believe in God. Everybody believes that selling kids for sex is wrong. Everybody does. I've never met one person that said, not really that big a deal. Every single person feels the same way, that it's wrong. For me, as a person of faith, I believe that we're called to action. We're called to confront evil, care for the vulnerable, and make right that which is wrong. Out of 50 states, Ohio ranks 5th for the most reported cases of sex trafficking. We're not even the 5th largest state, but we rank 5th for the most cases. It's hard to wrap your head around because you think of Ohio as small town USA, cornfields, and, you know, just not what you think of when you imagine human trafficking. A lot of people ask me, well, how does it happen? Where does it happen? How does that all work? In movies, you see a lot of abductions. You know, you hear about, like, on social media, you hear about, like, the person following someone around at Walmart. I mean, those things are real. But the biggest way that kids get lured into sex trafficking is because of this guy right here. Every teenager in America has a cell phone. And in the land of an influencer being a real job, which an influencer is just someone who has influence. They've got lots of followers and they actually get paid to like wear a shirt or wear something to help get more products sold. But to be an influencer, like the whole idea of social media is you have public accounts and you have private accounts. But if you want your video to go viral and you want to have influence, your account is set for public. But what happens is That means any Tom, Dick, and Harry can follow you, but not everybody is what you really think they are. With social media, there is no real boundaries. There's no protocol. I could get on here right now, get on Instagram and say that I am a 13-year-old girl. The only thing that makes me valid and 13 in social media is my date of birth. I just have to put in the right year. I'm not 13. I'm 43. But online, you can be anybody you want. There was a survey done for kids talking to them about social media, and 92 to 95% of kids have their accounts set to public. 75% of those said that they have interacted with someone for which they did not know. And less than 50% of parents check their kids' phones. It's crazy. But it happens all the time. It's very easy when you set up on social media, someone can direct message you, which is basically like they're texting you, and they can start having conversations. The example that I have given in the past is it happens as easy as this. Let's say a girl for her birthday, she finally gets the pair of Nike shoes she's been asking for, right? She's been asking for these for forever. She turned 16, so she got her Nike shoes. So she puts them right here on this stand, and takes a picture of her shoes. She's not in the picture, it's just her shoes. And she posts it on social media and she says, "Happy birthday to me." Well, someone can direct message her and say, "Hey, happy birthday." And she's like, "Oh, thanks." And they say, "Is blue your favorite color?" Because she's got the Nike shoes and the blue swoosh. And she says, "Yes, blue's my favorite color." And they say, "Oh, blue's my favorite color too." Starts off innocent. Then they say, "Oh, I bet your boyfriend likes your style." And she says, "Nah, I don't have a boyfriend." A pretty girl like you doesn't have a boyfriend. I find that so hard to believe. No, I don't have a boyfriend. Well, I bet your dad sure has to keep the boys away from your house. No, my dad left us when I was 5. Right there, in that little interaction, they have everything they need to know. Because trafficking boils down to 3 tactics. It's always the same 3 every single time. It's "I'll be your boyfriend, your lover." So a pretty girl like you doesn't have a boyfriend? Man, what I would do for a girlfriend like you. Second one is "I'll be your daddy, your protector." It's the same thing, just different, and you just have to ask a few more questions to see which one it is. And the third one is promises of luxury. So if you like the Nike shoes, you can get the Nike outfit. You can get the cool clothes. And you're 16, you want a cool car. And so it's promises of luxury that are never going to come. You know, I'm 43. So I grew up in what they call the analog world, and we've transitioned over to digital, right? There's a whole generation that only knows the digital. When we were growing up, there's a thing called stranger danger. That doesn't exist at all. Especially in the land of social media, you're connecting with people that you don't know all day long. But who you're talking to matters. It matters. The real life facts are that children are being sold all over the United States for sex. I know it feels hard to believe, and you think, really? Really? On average, a child is sold 5 times a day. 5 times a day. That's 1,825 sexual assaults over the course of 1 year from different men wanting different things. They're kids. Kids. In the Bible talks about how he will give beauty for ashes. So I started studying ash. It's interesting because we dismiss ash. You know, when you have nothing left, you have ash. Ash is the epitome of death, right? What I didn't know is that ash actually has nutrients in it to help things grow. The gardeners in the room, they know that. For me, it was brand new information. It improves the water holding in the soil. It improves flowering, the coloring of plants and vegetables. And if we planted something today with no ash and you planted something with ash, this one is almost like a miracle grow. You're going to have much more flowers, much more fruit, whatever it is, it's going to be much more tasty because you've added ash. I thought if I planted something with ash, I probably would kill it. But that's not the case at all. The bottom line is that spreading ash in a garden can produce bigger, healthier things. So it got me thinking about the wildfires that we hear out west. And Lately, we've been hearing about the wildfires in Canada, but out west, we hear it all the time, but we don't deal with wildfires. But you see it on the news where there's a wildfire and people are having to move out of their places because their houses are getting burned down by this fire. And as far as your eye can see, it's complete and total devastation. What used to be is no longer there. It's nothing but ash. Well, the ash begins to provide nutrients to the ground. And you have direct sunlight because the trees are no longer blocking the sun. You add a little bit of water in the form of rain, and you have what scientists call a super bloom. It's crazy. As far as your eye could see, it was complete devastation. And soon you start seeing things begin to sprout. And what was complete devastation becomes absolutely stunning. The flowers that grow there are actually called fire followers. You can look it up. And guess what? Fire follower flowers, say that 5 times, they only happen after a fire, after complete and total devastation. There was a scientist that was so enamored by how something so devastating could be something so beautiful. He didn't understand it, and he said he wanted to spend his retirement years going to all the places for which a fire had happened to take pictures. Because based on the soil for where the fire happened, different flowers began to sprout. They're absolutely stunning flowers. The Bible tells us that he will give us beauty for ashes. He shows us in nature what he will do. What won't he do for a girl's life that's like ash? There's no book that you can buy on the market that says, here's how you recover from 1800 sexual assaults. Here's how you recover from the things that your dad did. Here's how you recover from your mom not believing you. Here's how you recover from telling someone and they didn't listen. There's no book on the market that says, here's how you recover. Professionals would say that they will always be damaged. I refuse to believe that because we serve a God that can do anything. Anything. So we're building a facility for kids to restart their lives. I brought a short video so you guys can check it out. Safe Harbor's construction has started. The dirt has been moved as the prep work for the buildings has begun. But before full construction starts, we wanted to place Bibles in the footers of all 4 walls of each building, as we were physically and spiritually building on God's Word. Placing Bibles in the footers was us declaring that this is God's project.
Come where you can just be safe from all that's been.
We are believing for girls who have yet to come to Safe Harbor. We're believing for girls who are currently trapped in sex trafficking. We are boldly believing and claiming that God can and will use Safe Harbor to restore lives. The foundation is taking shape, and soon buildings will be framed. The Bibles are symbolic of God being our firm foundation.
Restored in your arms. Just the sound of your name, it overcomes. Jesus, and everything will change when you come, Jesus.
He is the one who is preparing a place for girls. He knows them each by name. He sees their brokenness, and he will make it whole, for there is nothing he can't do. So we have 30 acres that was donated to us about 20 minutes from here. We're building an entire campus. We're replicating ourselves off of the Refuge. The Refuge is the largest facility in the United States for child survivors. We're taking their proven model of what they do with the girls and replicating it here. We're not doing something hoping that we think it's going to work. Maybe it will work. We know that when we open the doors, it will work. We're building cottages. Every single cottage will hold 4 girls each. They each have their own bedroom and their own bathroom. Not having to share is a big part of their healing journey, knowing that their bathroom is safe. The cottage ends up having the 4 girls plus the cottage caregiver. So it's a 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom cottage. We're building 3 cottages for phase 1. We have our admin building. Half of our admin building is actually a medical wing. We partner with Springville Health Centers. They've been around for 54 years, and they're going to be providing medical care directly on site. So we'll have regular physician care, we'll have counseling, we'll have therapy, we'll be able to manage behavioral medicines, and we can also do gynecology on site. We're going to have a school on site. You know, when a girl first arrives, when a girl is being trafficked, she's really struggling in school if she's going to school. We could have a girl that shows up and she's 16, but she registers like she's a 7th grade level. Or I'm sorry, she could be 16, but she registers like she's 7th grade. Yeah. So we can do an assessment to figure out where she's at to get her all caught up. Because we know that a diploma is a really big deal. No diploma doesn't open a lot of doors. So Quaker Digital Academy is going to be doing our schooling on site. We will also have a chapel on site. You know, girls wonder, where was God in all of this? If he's so big and mighty, how come I went through this? There'll be a lot of questions that we can't answer, but the one thing that we can tell her is that her value isn't in the fact of her, like she was sold, her value isn't in her body. Her value is in the fact that God created her, that she's created in his image. You know, the 30 acres, it's just, I could sit here and talk to you, said by 11:30 is my cutoff, but I could talk forever and ever about all the things that God is doing. It's not a Melissa project, it's a God project. He's creating a way and connecting dots in ways that only God can. Like our builders are 8 Days of Hope. 8 Days of Hope is a nonprofit that actually, whenever there's a natural disaster, hurricanes or tornadoes come through, they mobilize skilled labor, they go to that area, and they completely rebuild. The reason they're called 8 days is because 8 is a new beginning in the Bible, and they wanted to create a new beginning for people who had lost everything. They've been doing that for 16 years. Within the last few years, they launched a new arm in their ministry. Instead of just doing natural disasters, they're helping with human disasters. Across the whole United States, there's 1,000 beds available for survivors. It's the second largest growing industry in all the world, but we only have 1,000 beds available for survivors. It's because nobody wants to talk about people being sold for sex. Nobody really wants to talk about kids being sold for sex. It's not the type of conversation you have across the table, but it's happening. We have 1,000 beds available for survivors, but across the United States, we have 13,000 animal shelters. Isn't that crazy? Sex trafficking hides in plain sight. It's not like it's so evil and dark. I think we think it will look evil and dark. That you'll say, oh, there it is, I see it. It hides in plain sight. Court records show you that the people that buy sex are who sometimes we look at as the good guys. No one is perfect. All of us fall short of the glory of God. But the people that have been caught buying sex are pastors, judges. Actually, there was a bust that just happened at the beginning of May. There was a sting done in North Olmsted, which isn't very far from here. There were 7 survivors, and one of the gentlemen that was arrested was the previous superintendent of Westlake Schools. You look at a superintendent and you think they're a good guy, right? There are 4 kids. But he was doing wrong. He was doing bad things. The average age that a kid gets caught up in human trafficking is 15. 15, they start talking to someone they shouldn't be talking to. We started building officially July 1st, right? So 8 Days of Hope. So that video we put out on June 30th, July 1st, the volunteers came in. So 8 Days of Hope is mobilizing people from all over the United States to come to Ohio to build. I have volunteers from New Mexico, Arkansas, South Carolina. Like, it's crazy how they've literally drove up here to help build a facility for girls. So we started on July 1st, and I can tell you standing here right now that we were supposed to do 2 cottages. That was the plan, was to frame 2 cottages. They have 2 cottages under roof, and the only reason we don't have the 3rd one under is because we only ordered product for 2 cottages, because that was the plan. 50 volunteers, they have been able to completely frame 3 of our buildings. Do the math on that. You can't really do that. That's like a God thing. We were supposed to start building in April, and we started building in July. And we thought we were going to be behind the ball, but we're actually ahead of the game because that's just how God does. I could sit here and talk to you about all the things that God is doing and how he's providing in unbelievable ways. You know, we had Provia that donated all the doors, windows, siding, and stone for 12 buildings. What? We had Mullet Cabinets come in and say, hey, we're going to do the cabinetry for you. We had Tower Industries say, hey, we'll do all of your showers, we'll do all of your countertops, and we're going to talk to some of our vendors to see if they want to help. So they got Ferguson involved to do the hardware. I could go on and on and on. They're already experts in what they do, and they're taking what they do to help us. Because it's not only the girls that arrive at Safe Harbor that are forever changed. It's the kids that we never meet. One day she's a mom, and she's able to tell her kids that God is good. God is good. He'll be able to restore her in a way that only God can. Just like those ashes, as far as your eye could see, was complete devastation. Now it's stunning beauty. Girls will arrive at Safe Harbor like ash, but when they leave, they will be transformed because of what God has done. It's unbelievable. It's a really hard truth to wrap your head around that kids are being sold all over the United States. But it's true. We're the #1 consumer globally. And Ohio ranks 5th. Safe Harbor will be a place where girls arrive and they have a brand new start. Brand new. For there is nothing that God can't do. We put the Bibles in the footers declaring before she arrives that there's nothing that God can't do. Nothing. So we are doing phase 1. Phase 1 is 6 buildings. We are $300,000 shy of doing it completely debt-free, but I know that God can do anything. We had donors come to the table and say, hey, we will do a matching gift. We will match up to $150,000. And that's just like God, that he would already give us half of what we need, right? So that's where we are. I don't know how it will happen, but I know that it will happen because it's not a Melissa project. It's a God project. He's the one who's creating a place where they'll be forever restored. He knows the girl right now that wonders where he's at. He knows what she went through last night. He knows what she's going to go through today. And he's working in a way for which she doesn't know, with us creating a place where she'll be forever restored. Safe Harbor is going to be a really big deal. And people ask all the time, how can I get involved? What can I do? The first thing you can do is pray. When you push against darkness, darkness pushes back. And prayer does so much more than we realize because God does more than we see. We judge what God's doing based on what we see with our eyes, but God works in hearts. God can restore a girl in a way that we could never do. First thing you can do is pray. Second thing, volunteer. You know, we have a table set out right out in the lobby. We have these little cards you can fill out, very simple, name, email, phone, and we'll let you know, hey, you want to come help build with 8 Days of Hope? Here's how you can do it. Once we're open, you want to come help do something? Absolutely. There's a million different things you can do to help. And the third thing is to donate. You know, it takes a lot of money to create a facility that offers 24-hour care for girls. People ask me, okay, so you're 20 minutes from here. Where are you? Well, we're site secure. So we're never going to say the address. It's always going to be private. People, if you come and volunteer, you'll know where it is, but you'll also sign a non-disclosure because we're creating a place where girls can be safe. You know, I'll finish with this. You know, when we first started talking about where we're going to build, I live in Stark County, and people kept saying, where are you going to build? Where are you going to build? Where are you going to do this? You know, and I kept saying Stark County, and I remember very distinctly, I was driving home. I would drive home from work up 77. I would go 77 north to 30. And so I'm getting on 30, and I'm looking at downtown Canton, just thinking about Safe Harbor, and I felt like God nudged me and said, why do you keep saying Stark County? That was a weird drive home. Because if I was being honest, I was saying Stark County based on what Melissa Brown could do. The people that I know, the connections that I have, and I could do this, I can make this work, yada, yada. But God was saying, but it's my project, not your project. So humbling, right? I get home and I tell my husband, I said, hey, I know I keep saying Stark County, but I don't think we're building in Stark County. And he said, where are you building? And I said, I don't know, but it's not Stark County. I need to stop saying that. 2 weeks later, I have a gentleman come up to me and he says, hey, he's like, where were you thinking about building? And I was like, I don't know why, and he says, well, I have an opportunity, something that fell into my lap that I wasn't looking for, to purchase a 114-acre farm. And I've been praying about why this opportunity would be in my lap and what am I supposed to do with it. And he said that as he was praying, Safe Harbor kept coming to mind. This gentleman purchased 114 acres and said, you go ahead and pick out the 30 that you want. And he's deeding it to us. The rest of the acres, well, he's going to rent out to a farmer for cattle or crop, but we'll never have neighbors. Holmes County is different than Stark County from where I live. Every store that you go to in Holmes County, store, coffee shop, anything, any music that's playing is a worship song. It's either instrumental, praising God, or actual words praising God. Holmes County honors God with what they do. Every business honors God. You're already set apart. And what I love is that the county that honors God is the place that God has handpicked for girls to restart their lives. Not by accident. Where God picked. It's stunning. It's absolutely stunning. So thank you so much for listening to About Safe Harbor. There's a million ways that you can get involved, but at minimum, please pray for us. Thank you.